That's a good girl, Olive. That's a good girl sharing your yard.
Hi, Chad here from Purple Collar Life. Today we've got some catching up to do on weed whacking. We were away camping and boating for a while, and then when I got home I was able to mow the main part of the yard, but all the trimming is left to do that I can't get to on the zero turn. Obviously this is too much of a bank, too close to the steps, and some areas that I just can't get to on the zero turn. So we'll hit them with the trimmer. I know I say a lot about the Stihl products, but I just haven't gone wrong with any of the Stihl products. I've had other brands that the weed whackers have only lasted like a year or a year and a half, and I'm constantly messing with them. This is a Stihl FS55R, and it does a great job. So we'll go ahead and get started here on the bank weed whacking, and then we'll go out to the front. You can see this little crab apple along the driveway is full of those little crab apples, and it keeps the deer hanging out here in the driveway. We're up in the grove of the front yard. Behind me are some maple trees, 2 of them. We planted at the same time. It's been about 10 years, and these have done extremely well. They're tall, straight. When they were planted, they were about 5 feet tall, maybe a little bit shorter than that. And you can see that over time, the deer, when they were smaller, the deer did scrape them, so we tried to protect them with some tubing, and they're healing from that now, but it's amazing all these years later how you can still see the after effects. But that's a really nice and tall maple tree. These arborvitae, springtime came around in the start of summer, and I thought maybe the salt from the road, from the PennDOT trucks had killed the bottoms. But then we figured out that it was actually the deer had been nibbling on the bottoms of all these trees. So if anyone out there has a suggestion how to keep the deer away from the arborvitae, but one of the things that attracts them is right beside it. There's an old apple tree, and it's pretty full of apples. They're small to medium right now. But this tree always does really well. We haven't done anything with it. We haven't trimmed it. It's been here for decades. And it just produces. And you can see it looks like the underneath is even starting to die some, but it still just keeps producing the apples. It's a horrible spot for them though, because the deer come up here, they bed down under the tree, and they constantly travel across the main highway right here by this tree.
And no recommendations to keep the deer away to stop feeding them.
Yeah. We're trying to feed them out back so they're not out front by the road. But like I said before, there are just apple trees around this old homestead. So I also have 3 pine trees and some lilac bushes left. I actually had planted 20 of these pine trees before I built the house. The Arbor Day Foundation sent me those little tiny saplings, and I planted 20 of them. And the first 10 did pretty good, and then over time some of them started to die. We tried to trim them back. I actually pulled 2 out that were lower in the yard because Jennifer was tired of them. These 3 remain, and she'd still like to have those out. So probably someday if we get a big excavator in or something, we can pull them out. But until then, I kind of like the pine trees.
Because repeat after me, pine trees are not decorative trees.
But they're pretty and they stay green all year.
That's crazy that that's only been 10 years.
How did it do?
Good.
We just started using this compost bin this summer, and mostly we put scraps from vegetables in and then some browns, but every once in a while we do throw some green grass in, and then once a week or a little bit more often than that, once every 5 days, we rotate the bin 3 turns, and it's amazing how much that stuff composts down. It does take time though, you've got to be patient with it.
I've wanted a composter for more than a decade, and when the neighbors moved, they said that we could have their composter. So for the most part, I keep a big glass Pyrex bowl in the kitchen to put our fruit and vegetable food scraps, and then we bring it out here to dump.
But you wouldn't be able to rely on it to make tons of good topsoil, because we've been composting all summer long and it's deteriorated down to almost nothing. Olive, would you like to explain why this area of the grass is all dead? Any idea why that is? This little apple tree that I cut the limb off of still actually has a couple apples on it. It's a survivor. getting dark, but there's a tree in there you can see. It's up off the ground. It fell down before winter, and I'm going to bring the chainsaw in here another night, probably this week. And since that's already hanging up, I'll just chunk it starting at the end. And that'll be a lot easier than cutting it off the ground. And that'll make a good amount of firewood to add to the stacking pile that will then get split when we bring a splitter or get a splitter. It's been a big year for the red-headed woodpeckers. We've had more than ever. You can hear them, and they are out here working on the trees. Now this tree is mostly dead. There are some branches still alive, but I'm sure the woodpeckers are picking on it because it's mostly dead.
I don't know what to say. It's not even 8:30 yet, and the sun is already down. It's too dark to do any more projects. The more into fall that we get, the more selective we'll have to be on our outside projects. You know, Chad doesn't get home until about 6:30 tonight. By the time we ate dinner and came out, not a lot that we could do, but when we work together, we try to keep the property up.
If you like videos like this,
No, I can't say that.
If you like videos like this, click that subscribe button, like, share, and comment. We'll do a future video about this shed. It's the first thing I ever built on this property. First thing I ever built, period, actually. My grandpa, my dad, and I built it. Didn't look anything like this when we first built it. I've got before and after pictures I can show in a future video.